The council meeting in the chambers in Marshfield, and of course, this evening is Tuesday, October 11th. Call the roll. All present, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We have item B1 this evening. We are going to pull 3 things from the agenda this evening. Our first item is going to be on the consent agenda. Under I, number 4, authorize implementing fees for certain fire-related services. Fire Chief Pete Fletty has requested that we remove item 1I4 from the consent agenda, as the PFC would like to take another look at the proposed new fees before council makes its final decision. Our second item is letter M. Nick Cum, Marshfield Utilities General Manager. The DNR is changing the funding opportunities for private-led services going forward, essentially going from 100% reimbursement to 25% or possibly even less. Due to this fact, we would like to table this for the foreseeable future. At this point, I'm not sure if we will bring it back again in the future or not. That is from Nick Cum. And our third agenda item we're going to pull is item Q from the agenda. Item C, public comment, period, correspondence. At this time, I will recognize those members of the public who have indicated a desire to address the council. Upon recognition by me, persons may address the council, first stating their name and address. The council may act on emergency matters introduced by members of the council. Are there any public comments? Are there any public comments? Are there any public comments? Seeing none, we'll go on to number 4. Approval of minutes, September 27th, 2022, our regular meeting. Motion by Alderman Spiros, second by Alderman Tompkins. Any discussion? Seeing none, please vote. All ayes, thank you. E, staff update, introduction of McKenna Hill, Administrative Associate, Clerk/Finance, introduced by Jordan Munger, Accounting Manager.
Gotcha. All right, better. I have the privilege to introduce you, McKenna, our new admin associate that started and shared between myself and Jessica Schaferl at the clerk's office. She's new to Marshfield. She moved here from Janesville about a year ago. She recently was working in the banking industry and other retail locations. Typically, I think the main one was Blackhawk Credit Union. She's working towards her associate's degree in business management, and she looks forward to getting acclimated in her new role as the administrative assistant for our group. So thank you and welcome.
Thank you. And McKenna, welcome aboard. Our number 2 is update regarding taxi complaints, presented by Steve Bark, City Administrator.
Thank you, Mayor. This probably could have been set aside along with the 3 others we pulled, but I thought it might be worth mentioning. We agreed, I think it was a year and a half ago, whatever, to have semi-annual reports in terms of what's going on with the taxi service. Complaints, how many, what type, that they've been resolved, and any other issues going on. We've got a good taxi provider, but want to keep you updated on what's going on. Anyway, I probably should never put it on this agenda. I was hoping to spend a little time with Amy Krogman, who's kind of the front person for this, and get caught up. But with the budget we were both working on the last few days, we never got to it. So I'll just, with your permission, we'll put this on for the next meeting.
Thank you, Steve. Item F, Mayor's comments. None. Item G, council comments. Seeing none, we'll go to item H, reports from commissions, boards, and committees. Seeing none. Oh, excuse me, Alderman Witzel.
Thank you. As the chair of the Finance, Budget, and Personnel Committee, we did meet today. It is item J on the consent agenda, but that will be pulled. The minutes will be added to the next consent agenda at the next meeting. We will discuss whatever matters need to be discussed at the point when we're talking about that at letter O. And so we'll not be reading in those minutes, and it will not be a part of the consent agenda, but will be brought in next meeting. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Item I, consent agenda. Obviously, we have two items that are pulled. But we need a motion, please. Motion by Alderman Paschal, second by Alderman Witzel. Any other discussion? Please vote. All ayes, thank you. Now, on number J, do we need to take any action on removed consent agenda items? Seeing none, we'll go on to item K. Presentation update from Visit Marshfield, presented by Matt McLean, Executive Director.
Hello, thank you for having me tonight. I just have a kind of a pretty informal presentation. I hope, I think Steve had shared some documents with you regarding some marketing data, our business plan from 2022, and also a possible study that could go towards helping fund some maybe sports improvements in the area. So I'll just kind of touch on those. Again, want to keep this pretty informal, so if you have questions, please let me know. And I guess I'll start with, again, Visit Marshfield's mission is to attract visitors to Marshfield through marketing, development of attractions, and events to create economic impact. And we've aligned ourselves a lot with a lot of EDB goals. I was working with Josh Miller and continue working with the EDB, really related to economic development goals and a lot of things with quality of life, tying with tourism, and so development projects such as the Second Street Corridor or different things like that. We're definitely involved in and interested in. I wanted to kind of touch on some of the objectives and goals of 2022 that we've been working on and had pretty good success. I don't want to go through the whole list, but thankfully in 2022, we had a pretty good bounce back with events happening. Things that had been kind of pent up from the pandemic really bounced back strong. So we did have the Wisconsin Rural Summit, which had been about 3 years planning. So we got her taken care of, which was hosted at Hotel Marshfield. Another big win for us was the Batter State Games. Gymnastics in April this year had over 700 athletes and families, and that really sold out the town in April, which is not usually a really busy month for us. And then again, Farm Tech Days being in the area was a good thing. One thing we are being wary of is hotel occupancies and rates have been very strong this year. We're seeing some record data, record room tax collection, but also there's things that didn't happen for the last 2 years are happening now. So we know that that's probably not going to last forever. We did get a GEM grant for the Central Wisconsin Tourism Association. We've had some very good leisure travel marketing with outdoor recreation. I think one thing COVID brought about is outdoor recreation became a huge topic, and I don't think that's going away. So we talk about the fun things to do outdoors. Other things that we've been focusing on are leveraging the downtown business districts and a lot of our marketing and messaging, as well as the Wenzel Family Plaza. One stat I always like to talk about is we're very big in social media and tourism are very huge. And Facebook, right now we had a goal of getting 25,000 followers by January 1st of 2023, kind of based on our past growth. And right now we're at 25,707, so a little more than 5,000 people who live here. I think the only other area in the state that I could say that maybe has more Facebook followers than people who live there would be the Wisconsin Dells, but they only have like 3,000 people who live there. So. And one way that we do track data is there's a Smith Travel Research. It's called the STAR Reports in the hotel industry. And they basically kind of anonymously put in their data of, well, we had this much occupancy, this much revenue, and it kind of conglomerates it. And I have some partners that share that data with me. And so this year we've been looking at about 20 or 30% up from 2021 and seeing record numbers. So I think our messaging and marketing is getting out there. Leisure business travel is starting to come back. And so really that's kind of, I guess, a fair amount of the goals. I'll talk a little bit more about the Winter Sports Complex later here. And any questions related to any of that data out there? Great. Oh, I did hear there may be some questions about Maple Fall Fest. I'll just kind of jump in and talk about that this year. So Visit Marshfield does run Maple Fall Fest. And this year I lost a staff member a month or two before that. So kind of had to, I don't know, I felt like I was drowning, but I got through it. And I think the festival went really well. We had about 20 more vendors than we typically did. And I had a ton of volunteer help. Many people in this room actually were were part of volunteers, and so really it takes a village, right? So it went well, and so the weather was great. Outdoor events, it's always weather dependent. So we had great weather for that. And a couple challenges that we had this year that were a little different as we met with Everett and Pete, and they had said, they'd seen some events where it really wasn't safe for like breakfast and cooking and thing like that. So they recommended that we move where we had our pancake area baking, tent that had grills under it would be safer if we were under a structure. And based on some regulations and whatnot, we found a structure across the parking lot from where we typically have it. It's called Shelter One. And so it was a little thing like, well, we got to keep the tent over there to serve people. People will freak out if we move that. And so we kind of came up with the solution of, well, Festival Foods was a sponsor. And so we said, hey, can we have some shopping carts? So they cooked it on one side, shopping carted it over to the serving, and actually went really well. So when you're cooking under a thing like that and you're on a level ground, it actually made some things easier. So it was kind of a big challenge at first, but it actually kind of ended up working out better. I also do want to thank the PD. We did have some parking issues in years past. There was a loop, I think it's called Wildwood Court, about a block or two away that people were parking up and down. And somebody had mentioned last year at the end of the show that, hey, I don't think a fire truck could get through there. And so we worked and got some signage there where they marked off one side for no parking and didn't really run into those issues. So definitely want to have, public safety is definitely important. So that's kind of an update on Fall Fest. Let me jump in.
Matt, I'm going to jump in and tell you, as I sat in the information booth watching the kids with the shopping carts, bringing the food back and forth, that was very, very neat. It gave them a purpose.
Agreed.
And we never saw one shopping cart go over. I mean, the food was in its little to-go containers and every bit. And we were watching, Mike and I, and it was all so seamlessly done. And they had the time of their lives, we think. So thank you. And thank you for making us do that.
Yeah, I do have to say Columbus Catholic, they use that's their one big fundraiser for their football program and their cheer program, and they do a great job. They're super organized, and so I work with them throughout the year, and yeah, people love it. So it's got to have potato pancakes at Fall Fest. It's a thing. This is our 30th year, so we're glad that 30 years was good. Let me jump into, we have a marketing report. So I work with an agency in Madison called Pilch and Barnett, and they really help a lot of just marketing opportunities. And again, it's a team effort, but they have experts in digital marketing, and they help us with website development and stuff. So they give us quarterly reports, and I just want to touch on some of the data points that we had from the second quarter this year. So I'll just touch on that a little bit here. Really, on page one, our website traffic was up 100.42% this year, so up 100% from last year. And we did launch a Jurassic Park trail sweepstakes. So we've been walking up and down Central Avenue, seeing all the sculpture parks there, and it's really getting lots of traction. We do a lot of giveaways, and sometimes it's only like a $10 coffee card to Uptown Coffee or $20 to a restaurant, and then we get thousands of dollars of worth of just marketing of hundreds of clicks, and it gets out there a lot. For this quarter, we had 8,715 viewers per month on our website. I haven't got the data back from third quarter yet, but I think it's going to be over 10,000 people on visitmarshfield.com per month. Again, so our website is growing. Moving on the report, some of our top metro areas are the Wausau, Rhinelander. We had 11,000 plus sessions there. And then Milwaukee at about 3,750, Chicago, 3,600, La Crosse, Madison, Green Bay, all about 1,200. And so really the central Wisconsin, the areas that are 2 hours away, and then the bigger metropolitans are really our targets. But we always know that the Wausau is a market that'll get a lot of day trip visitors. So they're always there. And, we try to target overnight visitors, but we'll take day trippers too. They both spend money, right? One thing that's was a little exciting this quarter for us is we've been let me see. We've been trying to expand our demographics. I think just getting younger people and younger traffic to Marshfield, younger families, kind of for all economic development purposes. If we can get younger families here, everybody that moves here is a visitor first. And so if they come here and they like it, maybe they'll look for a job, maybe they'll move here. And so in this quarter, we actually had more 25 to 44 age people look at our website and marketing than people over the age of 45. And that was actually the first time that had happened in a quarter. So we were really excited about that, kind of getting in front of the younger audiences. And Instagram is one of the avenues we use for that. Let me see. I'll just touch on a couple other points here. You can see some of the social media marketing. We did 3 professional photography shoots this year. Actually, just did one on Monday, and so we're using those for our visitor guide, which is our big project here that we're coming up, getting ready to put a visitor guide out for 2023. So it's crazy. The year's almost over, right? Yeah. Anybody have any questions related to the marketing report? No? Okay. Lastly, I just want to touch on something I presented to Steve and Lois. I think everybody is the winter sports complex. There's quite a few different people, quite a few different groups that are really excited about this opportunity. And so I think there's a lot of money. There's people that have already wanted to commit money to build it, but there hasn't really been a lot of look of how do we fund it after it's built. And so there's a study that is called like a financial feasibility study, and it's really related to how other communities have done this in the past and what tools have they used to help fund a tourism development. And one thing is called a tourism improvement district. And it's actually something that hasn't quite been done in Wisconsin yet, but has been done in about 30 different states through the area. And so it really kind of shows how through some assessments on lodging and possible other funding through some other mechanisms can help fund a winter tourism attraction. So I think just one piece, we did a study with a group called the Huddle Up Group that really showed there was the demand. And really our demand for winter tourism right now, one of the main drivers is hockey. And so right now the group can do about 6 to 8 hockey tournaments a year with 8 teams on one sheet of ice. If you doubled that, it would go from about a $1.4 million economic impact to about, more than double that to a $3.1 million. So really it would bring thousands of more hockey players here through the winter if we had 2 sheets of ice. And that was kind of a main driver of, we're seeing 70, 80% occupancy in the winter, and in the summer, but then we have in the winter it drops down into the 40s and 50s. And so how can we kind of level those out so that more jobs are around in the winter, that hotels and restaurants don't cut all their staff, and try to keep money flowing all year round. So this is probably the biggest thing that we think is out there and that we could do to try to help. Yeah, so I think that kind of wraps up my presentation. Thank you guys for having me here. If there's any additional questions, I look forward to working with the council and EDB moving forward, and appreciate it.
Yeah, just to know, I didn't, that third piece I didn't put in front of them. You and I think, emailed and you were doing a couple things to try and make contact before I did that. If you're comfortable with that, I'll email that last piece you just talked about out to the council after this meeting.
Yeah, that would be fine, Steve. Yeah, for sure. And then we can, please reach out to me with any other questions and we can discuss that further.
I'm glad to. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Steve.
Thank you, Matt. Anybody else?
All right.
Mr. Witzel?
Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Matt. Don't go away.
Oh, Matt. Alderman Witzel would like to ask you.
All right,
Sure.
a couple of things. First, you have this business plan that's listed out here, and I noticed you're targeting. How do you determine demographics you target for your various events?
It really just depends on which event, kind of like if it's family friendly, like we probably would target more younger families for like a Dairy Fest event. Maple Fall Fest has always kind of been a little bit of an older crowd for the shopping. So really kind of look at what we feel the demographics of the event are, and then kind of look at that. We can see some of that through our tracking on social media and, our Google Analytics too, of kind of who's looking at those events.
Okay, because I'm seeing Dairy Fest is targeted for females. Central Wisconsin State Fair for females.
Yeah.
Fall Fest for females, Rotary Winter Wonderland for females.
Honestly, about 70% of the tourism decisions in families is female.
Really? Right. And then a quick question or follow-up regarding the Maple Fall Fest. And unfortunately, I was out of town on that Saturday at Maple Fall Fest, so I wasn't able to be there for that first day, but I did kind of wander down that way Sunday afternoon. And I was really surprised at the parking issues. I thought with the Aquatic Center parking lot being available that there wouldn't be the parking issues, but I saw Dairy Queen and a couple of the businesses were roping off their parking lot to avoid having issues. And then when I got down there, I saw that there was a big sign at the end of the Aquatic Center parking lot said vendor parking only, and I was confused as to why those 100+ spaces would have been targeted for only vendor parking, preventing all of the people who wanted to come from being able to utilize that. That was one of the things that I was actually very excited about when the Aquatic Center was in planning, because I thought, there's this fabulous parking lot that's not used for the Aquatic Center during Maple Fall Fest that can, the tourists can come and sit and park there. I also noticed that the lot where the tennis courts used to be was empty and not accessible. And I was just kind of wondering if you have ideas in the future to try to alleviate some of that parking and maybe to reevaluate how you have your parking.
Yeah, I do appreciate that. I don't think it was marked very clearly, but with the front part of the lot, we targeted for vendors, but then half of the back lot was open to the general public.
Okay.
Was how we had planned that. And again, when you have thousands of cars coming down and there's only a few hundred parking spaces, the pool helped a little bit, but I think it still is, there's a pretty massive supply. The front lot on the tennis courts, we have reserved for our entertainment and our volunteers. And I think maybe when you came on Sunday, it was a little cleared out because we didn't have as many as on Saturday. So yeah, it's always the master gardeners are in there, and so yeah, we try to do the best we can, but policing and patrolling just so that when we have entertainers or volunteers, they're able to get there and help us too. So, but I appreciate the insight. We're always trying to look at better ways and different ways to make sure it's great for the visitor, great for the vendor, great for all the people at the show.
Because the only sign I saw at the parking lot at all said vendor parking only. It had no reference of front half, back half, and the far end of the entrance also was blocked off. I'm assuming seasonally blocked off. And I think from a perspective of ease of everybody, if that entrance could also be open so that people wanting to leave can exit out.
Yeah, I think we talked a little bit with ordinance and Bob about it might cause traffic problems if there's a bunch of people coming in and out on Central. So I think that was one of our concerns, that if that was open, there would be backups on Central Avenue and it would be kind of more chaotic up there was one of the things that we talked about.
Well, the bottleneck by Dairy Queen was really bad too. So I guess, maybe just reevaluate all of those things.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. We try to look at traffic and parking every year. And so thank you for the insight.
All right, thanks.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Alderman Fire?
Having worked at this for about 20 years, parking's been an issue forever. What I saw this year is you had a lot more people there because the cars were backed up all over. So, and when you shut half of a street down, one side of the street, that affects whatever's going on. So I think you had a good year, and parking has been a problem for 20 years. Unless we build a big parking lot around the park, that's the only thing that's going to solve it.
Yeah, I mean, I think event parking is always challenging, but I think if people want to come, they'll walk a few blocks,
Yeah. Alderman Fisher. Nope, I'm sorry, Alderman Spiros.
Thank you. I was just going to ask, have you ever hit up Marshfield Utilities to see if you can use their parking lot during Maple Fall Fest?
We have used the utilities parking a little bit in the past, but with their construction and some of the grass, we had that Parks and Rec rope that off based on what they would like. I think with the construction this year, it was.
So that's just a this year thing. So like maybe next year we could utilize
I'll definitely
their
talk to them.
lot.
I mean, we don't want to tear in years past. Some of the grass lots have been torn
I'm really
up.
not trying to put Nick on the spot. Kind of, because he was sitting
Oh,
there.
here's Nick.
Well, I got scratched from the agenda, so I'm sure you wanted me to come up and talk. Yes. In years past, we did allow parking, and what happened is that people would park in front of substations in areas where we had to access our equipment, and there would be outages, and we'd be delayed in responding to the customers. So that's too bad. We try to do that, and it just gets into basically roping off the whole area because you just don't know which piece of equipment you're going to need. But obviously with the new facility, we'll definitely take that into consideration.
I mean, a good way to be a team player when it comes to an event that's held so close to your parking lot. So,
Understand.
thank you.
Thanks, Nick.
Anyone else? Okay, you, Matt?
All right, thank you.
Thank you very much. Item L, presentation update for UWSP Marshfield, presented by Michelle Bornke, Campus Executive, and Gretel Stock-Kupperman, Provost.
Hi there, everyone. I am Gretel Stock, actually, Dean of University College. So just for let the minute show that my title's a little different. I'm not the provost, don't want to be the provost. I have an excellent new provost. We'll get her out here to speak to you as well. So I have the privilege of serving both of our branch campuses at UW Stevens Point. So I serve both Marshfield campus, Wausau, and I also do student success at our main campus in Stevens Point. So it is a privilege, as always, to be with you today and to give you an update and presentation. I think if I press this button, it should, so I can see the presentation. Can you all see it anywhere? No?
I can.
There we go. Okay, wonderful. Well, thank you, folks. So this is our community impact and report. For those of you who've been here before, some of the slides may look similar. I promise that the pictures are different, as are the numbers. So this is our report from June 1st, 2021 through June 30, 2022. We are now in this academic year finally seeing a wonderful recovery from the ravages of the pandemic that we've seen. This year's students on all three campuses are more engaged, more excited, more present, and we're very happy to have them engaging in the activities and in the work that we're doing on the campuses again. We had a really great year last year, so we want to share that with you, but we also are very excited about the year we have coming up here. So this is part of who we serve. So I always like to provide a whole picture as far as who we serve at the Marshfield campus. You're traditionally going to be looking at our student enrollment, which again is a part of what we do for the university. The numbers as for our head count for fall, we are very excited compared to other UWs in the system. Marshfield in particular, the former branch campuses at UW colleges, we are actually effectively flat. We're down 4 students, but we're effectively flat. And those 4 students were high school enrollees, and those students are kind of unpredictable in how they come in. So some of our sibling institutions have lost a significant number of students. We're very excited that Marshfield is holding steady. And it says something special about what Michelle and her team build at the campus, as well as our recruitment team and what our students are looking for. We do have new recruitment strategies and new programs coming on board that should help our growth, as well as support specifically rural and high school enrollment. So I'm happy to talk about that later in the presentation. But I just wanted to give you a snapshot of where we were from the high school enrollment, from the traditional and high school student enrollment perspective. But as you well know, that's not all that we do. Here's a few more details just so that you can see. We always get asked who's a continuing student, who's a new student, how many high school folks do we have. This is our comparison across all 3 of our campuses. So you can see that where Marshfield is sitting. We're actually at not too far off from Wausau at this point in terms of our head count. So, but there are growth opportunities on all 3 campuses that we're looking forward to engaging in. I think one important thing to note about those high school special students, one of the things we note that this is a service to the community. Those families are saving over $250,000 of tuition in 1 year by having their high school student take college classes with us. So that is tuition that they don't spend. Some of the districts spend some dollars, some of our CESA partners spend some dollars. We, of course, subsidize that through the lower tuition rate. But those families are saving a significant amount of money, $250,000 every year on that high school enrollment. So we really see this as a way both, again, to engage our rural communities and to engage with high school students who may not have access to those credits and to save them money down the road. Sorry about that. So we want to share with you all the offerings of degree programs that we do have that are supported at the Marshfield campus. Of course, we have our Associates of Art and Sciences that has a variety of career pathways for students to take, including education, healthcare, nursing, sociology and social work, and science or natural resources. We do also have new growth programs that are coming up in education. We have finish-up programs that allow adult students to come back and finish their programs in business or other degree programs. And we also have a bachelor's of business administration and a pathway towards the Bachelor of Nursing that is offered with UW Eau Claire. We are 1 year into that partnership with UW-Eau Claire, and it has been fantastic. They brought a lot of campus life. They brought a lot of energy. They have, how many is it, 80 students right now, Michelle? About 80 students here and 12 faculty and staff who spend time in the lower level of one of our campus buildings, as well as with all of our campus activities in life. That's a 30-year Marshfield located program, and we're really excited to have them as a partner at our Stevens Point campus here in Marshfield. We also have new programs in radiography as well with the Marshfield Clinic Radiology program. So we're again trying to make sure that we're connecting with community partners and making pathways for students to complete their needs and for employers to get the skilled employees that they need in the region. It's important to note that students in these programs start at the Marshfield campus for their general education or associate's degree, then they either transition to the Stevens Point campus or another UW institution. Those who stay in Marshfield, though, they can continue their degrees in business, in nursing, radiography, as well as engineering and never leave home. So one of the things that we're very proud of is the fact that we can have folks staying here in the community while they start here with their degree and get there into their career in this region, something that we're very focused on. Beyond our curricular programs, we're also a community incubator. You can see one of our favorite parts of the campus right now, which is Baca Chicken. They have a thriving food truck, of course, in the region, but they have offer food service on the campus, and as a location, members of the public come in, actually quite a few members of the public come in and get their food there. I love to eat there every time I go there. I'm a huge fan. So, but we also have our makerspace that we have put together in collaboration with Hastert Industries, with WEDIC, and with other partners. Many donors have come together. We actually raised over $300,000 to create this makerspace. The purpose of this space is to fill in the gaps for educational institutions like the K-12 education, local innovators, and others to come in and have access to the technology and resources of 3D printers, of CNC machines, of other kinds of small tech, high tech devices that they can come and prototype, they can come and be innovative, or high school students can learn, or even K-12 programming can come in as classes to come in and use materials that they don't have access to in their school district. We're very excited to have our first full-time staff member, Mark Bowie, who is working for Hastreiter the Foundation. We have 2 rooms now as opposed to the one originally planned. We got enough donations, we got to get more stuff. So we're very excited to be able to use your Marshfield campus for those purposes to be an incubator within the community. We are gearing up for a ribbon cutting soon, so please stay tuned for that information. Michelle will certainly send that out. We also are focusing on inclusive excellence in the community. Some of you may have been part of the ribbon cutting that we had last year. The most recent work that we've done is working with the local PFLAG group to offer a lecture series. ODC has offered trainings, as well as the cultural fair has been reorganizing on our campus so we can continue it, and it can be a sustainable tradition that we continue here in the Marshfield community. We also, of course, the whole reason why we're doing this is to serve students who are on our campus. We are excited that sports are back in full swing, including a full women's volleyball team competing now and men's basketball starting soon. So far, the Marauders won their first 2 matches of the season. Another game is on campus next Wednesday. I guess that would be tomorrow, October 12th, starting at 5 p.m. So come by if you're interested. We have all tutoring and academic services back face-to-face. We had gone to a virtual standing during the pandemic, at a transition year last year while we were trying to see what were our students interested in. And now we're very excited to have a full-time academic specialist who's doing coaching, who's doing tutoring, and we're still connecting to the strengths of the Stevens Point campus by bringing in experts and peers remotely when needed. So our students have access to whatever they need, both in person and virtually, to be able to complete their studies. As of last year, all music productions and theater productions are running, including the Children's Summer Theater Camp, where we had 39 kids in the program and 660 audience members who came to see the children's theater production. Very proud. What was the title of that one again, Michelle? Newsies, of course, a really, really fun musical for there. Local donors, along with the Helen Connor Laird Fund, helped us upgrade the theater this summer, which is going to be great for patrons. There is a brand new stage, as in they tore the whole thing up and put a whole new one down. There's new carpeting, ADA railings, the lighting system was upgraded. It's a wonderful and inviting space, as well as a whole lot safer for our actors in the audience. So we're very glad that we could use a combination of state and community funds to support that community asset. So far, 6 of our students from the campus have graduated from the UWSP MBA program. So those are students who didn't have to go anywhere to get an in-person MBA. They came here, they had a cohort, it was fantastic. We held the annual cultural fair outside. We have some updated numbers for you coming up. We've held blood drives, Rotary Club meetings, and other community trainings that continue on the campus weekly and monthly. And in April, we held the annual Academic Career Planning Day with over 500 high school students with 65 volunteers. This was in collaboration with the Chamber and with Mid-State Technical College. Also this spring, the Chamber hosted their reality store with 600 middle schoolers and 50 volunteers. It fills up the campus real quick because middle schoolers are loud. Upward Bound, STEAM, ACT, ACT testing, and other CE programs are back and continue to grow. So we are very excited to come back as well this next year and show you our revised numbers. So here's where we're at for this year. If you look at the completed year of 21 and 22, you'll see our total community impact. For the year after our COVID year, we're very excited that we were up about 2,200 interactions on the campus. We worked really hard to get there in a pretty uncertain environment, health-wise as well as safety-wise. We're very excited that we had people still investing in the campus. And it looks like we're off to a really good start, both with our student enrollment for this fall for 22-23, as well as getting 1,000 visitors to the campus for the cultural fair. We were so excited to have that many people come in. I know it's a little less than some years before, but we're super excited to be building back towards a sustainable event that the cultural fair is, and one that obviously has a huge impact on the community. So we are very privileged to be in service to the community this way and hope that we can continue to show you our impact in this variety of ways to the Marshfield community and Wood County. So do you have any questions for me that I can answer or that Michelle can answer?
One question from Michelle. Michelle, how many days do you have left?
84 is what she said.
I don't see that. I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah. I think
Yeah.
Adam has a question. Yeah, the screen's
Okay,
not up.
yeah, I don't see it. Alderman Fisher?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I don't know if you can go back to the slide of the enrollment numbers.
The enrollment numbers, sure. Absolutely. There we go.
So my question is, actually, I think it was the one before that, where it was over the last 4 years. Obviously, I know 1920, that was when the pandemic first started, and obviously there's been a decline since then.
Yep.
Do you have the numbers even before 19? I mean, were you still declining, or were those numbers pre-2019, 20 in that 431?
So we were a little higher previous, but I think it's important to remember that we were also just post-merger with our we're transitioning from the UW College's identity to what were we going to be at UWSP at Marshfield and UWSP at Wausau. So we are not alone in seeing enrollment shifts and declines across the state in what were previously the two-year campuses of UW colleges. So while those numbers were certainly higher, we don't see them as a good benchmark because the whole landscape has now shifted. You went from a statewide identity to a local identity. We are offering new programs and different kinds of programs. We expect to see our graduate enrollment as well as non-traditional enrollment start to increase now that we have these established accelerated programs. So what you're looking at now in the 300s is probably a new baseline in terms of what we would be looking for in the future. And that is probably more sustainable given the demographics in the region and given the interests of high school students that are shifting. So yes, I could share with you all of those numbers. Given the radically different institution that we are now, I don't know that it would have as much meaning as you might be seeking.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you very much, Gretel. Thank you for the great presentation. And
Absolutely.
Michelle, thank you. And good luck with you.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Item N, request to approve resolution number 2022-40, authorizing an application for a combined urban forestry grant and urban forestry catastrophic storm grant presented by Mark Breskowiak.
Good evening, Council. I'm trying to gain more funding to plant additional trees in town through a grant offered by the Wisconsin DNR. The grant is a 50-50 matching grant, meaning we pay half, they pay half. The kicker is we have to pay for it up front. The project I'm proposing is an enhanced community tree planting project where our staff will plant 100 bare root trees in and amongst the residential neighborhoods and parks. And then we will contract out 30 B&B bald and burlap trees to be planted along Veterans Parkway going northwest out of town from South Oak Ave to McMillan Street. The total project cost is $40,000. The $20,000 of it, we already have budgeted in the forestry budget to cover the 100 bare root trees and then the staff time and labor to plant the trees. It would be the additional $20,000 to contract out the B&B plantings that those funds would be paid for by the grant if we receive it. So, and if that grant is not awarded, then we wouldn't do the contracted plantings. We would just do the bare root tree plantings. So I'm basically here asking permission to go ahead and pursue this grant opportunity for the city and get the resolution signed for stating that the city forester is the contact person and signee for the grant.
Recommended action to approve resolution number 2022-40. Motion by Alderman Fisher, second by Alderman Handler. Alderman Tompkins?
Thank you. Are we in discussion right now?
We are, yes.
Wonderful. First of all, Mark, thanks for being a forester. That's really important. And taking care of our trees, I just really appreciate that. I'm a little confused. Are you saying that we have the 20,000, the total is 40, we have the 20, we'll pay 20 up front, knowing that we get a grant, and then they'll pay it back? Is that what you were saying?
That's correct.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? Seeing none, please vote. All ayes. Congratulations, Mark.
Thank you.
Nice presentation. Item O, receive and discuss results from Finance, Budget, and Personnel Committee related to its review of written materials and interviews with firms interested in providing employment law services to the City of Marshfield, presented by Tom Witzel, FBP Chairperson.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We met on the 3rd of October. We interviewed three different law firms to look at what we wanted to do for our employment law. The committee was leaning in one direction, so we followed up over the past week with additional reference checks and a little bit of Q&A with the firm. Tonight we came together, discussed the results of the reference checks, and as a committee, we took action to formally recommend council approval of using Stafford Rosenbaum as our law firm of choice instead of what we've been doing with Von Briesen in the past. So I guess that's what I have for you. Our recommendation as a committee would be that the council would approve entering into some type of discussion with Stafford Rosenbaum for how we're going to get them to become our law firm of choice.
Motion by Alderman Spiro, second by Alderman Handler. Any other discussion? Seeing none, please vote.
Can I just have a clarification of the motion from Mrs. Spiros, please?
I will make a motion that the city enter the negotiations for a contract for employment services with Stafford Rosenbaum.
All ayes, thank you. Item P, review budget calendar and consider changes to the meeting schedule, presented by Steve Barg, City Administrator.
Thank you. We had an approved calendar for budget meetings back in May. I came to you a couple weeks ago and asked that we change it because quite honestly, staff has been struggling a little bit, and this one we've had some challenges in terms of putting together a budget to bring to you for consideration. You agreed to just move back the first meeting. Initially, it was supposed to be tonight prior to this meeting, but rather to make what was supposed to be the second meeting on October 17th the first meeting. So you have the calendar in your packet. The first meeting will be next Monday night at 6:30 and Tuesday, the 25th of October following that at, I believe, 5 o'clock before the regular council meeting. Then Monday, the 31st at 6 o'clock or after Board of Public Works. And if a fourth one is necessary, Monday, November 7th at 6 p.m. However, I've become aware from several of you that there's an interest in maybe changing the Monday, October 31st one possibly to the following day, Tuesday, November 1st. And so I want to talk about that. And then also I think Councilmember Witzel might have another request along the way too. So I present this to you for possible changes.
You bet, Steve. Alderman Varsho.
So the last meeting there says if necessary. So we're looking at Monday, the 17th for what, 2 hours? Tuesday, the 25th for 2 hours. Is it going to take 6 hours to go through it? And if it is going to take 6 hours, do we need the 31st at all?
Well,
Do we do 3 meetings instead of 4?
I've been here 12 years and it's really been variable. We've had years where we were done in 2 meetings. In fact, the second meeting didn't even go all that long. We've had years when we've taken the full 4 and the fourth meeting had some challenging decisions. So it's hard to say.
Okay.
Alderman Witzel.
Thank you. I do believe it's going to probably take the full time. As the budget's gotten tighter, it's taken longer and longer to discuss and to iron out and hash out. I do understand that we're targeting Mondays and Tuesdays for meetings. I guess I'm kind of wondering why we don't look at Thursday as another option. The thing that I personally find frustrating is that the calendar was put into place and voted on and put into action, if you will, or put into motion back before many of us with people with children in the school district knew anything about school calendars. So as I'm looking now at meetings, I'm thinking, I don't know how I'm going to make meetings when I've got events for a child who's a senior in high school that I really don't want to miss on her final year. So, from that perspective, and I also understand October 31st for a lot of families is pretty dang important. So I don't know if we can revisit maybe looking at some Thursdays, if that's not something the council wants to touch, because Thursdays are days they don't have to be here. And I don't know, I guess I'd like to hear from the council if I, I'll do what I have to do personally to make it work. But it is difficult. And I guess I'd like to hear from the council what their thoughts are.
Alderman Fisher.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I think Alderman Wetzel's idea of Thursdays would be fine with me. I mean, I think right now we just need to tackle this budget. And I think, I agree. I think it's probably going to take the full 4 meetings just based on, I'm going to say bad report we got a couple weeks ago. I just think that my takeaway is it's going to be very tight. And so I think we're going to have to make some tough decisions. So I think to have the full council involved whenever we can do that, I think would be wise. Thank you.
Alderman Spiros.
A couple of things. The meeting on the 31st, that is trick or treat night. I mean, I don't know who that affects. It doesn't affect me. I don't have small children. But there are people I think that do and want to attend that. And so I would like to see what the council in general thinks of moving budget meeting number 3, which is currently scheduled for Monday, October 31st at 6 p.m. Possibly moving that to the 1st of November, following the finance and budget meeting. I'd like to see what people think about that. And then secondly, I'd like to ask Tom directly, is there a certain day or meeting that you're looking at changing?
If I may.
Yes, please. And then we'll get to you, Alderman Tompkins.
The 25th is difficult for me, and originally it wasn't going to be a problem because the concert was supposed to start at 7:30. However, now the concert is scheduled to start at 6 or 6:30, and so based basically, I would be running the budget meeting on the 25th, and then as soon as we're done, presumably at 6:45, in order to have a break before the council meeting, I bolt out of here and miss the first half of the concert. But I guess my thoughts were, the 17th, okay, fine. I think I haven't heard any rumblings about that. If we could move the 25th and the 31st to being the 27th and the 3rd, because I think that there is an issue with somebody on the 1st. Those would be 2 Thursdays. That would be something that I would have no problem with. I don't know if others would. Again, I don't know how sensitive Thursdays are for some folks.
There's other people.
Alderman Tompkins?
Thursdays are fine with me, and I have the same conflict for that concert.
And Alderman Fisher?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The only date I could not, I actually thought November 1st I could not do. I could actually do that. But Thursday, the 27th would not work for me. So just wanted to make that known.
And Alderman Paschal?
Yes, as far as meeting dates in October, I can make Thursdays, Fridays, anything you would like. But once we get into the second week of November, I will be on.
Alderman Spiros?
I too would not be able to attend a meeting on the 27th. I actually have a meeting with the county, but the 26th, I would be able to attend. Past the 28th, I will be attending virtually if we do have a final meeting for that. But just looking at the 20, I have no issues whatsoever moving the 31st to the 1st. I think maybe we could tackle that question first. And then the 25th, I can't do the 27th, but would the 26th be an available date for people?
Wednesday, the 26th, as Rebecca's looking at. And obviously, you can all check your phones now because we have the free. No, seriously, and this is great.
That's
Thank
what
you,
I'm
Alderman
doing.
Whistle, for making this happen. Absolutely. So please, if you could check your availability. Alderman Whistle?
The 24th is another concert, but it's a later concert. So if the 24th would work, that Monday instead of that Wednesday or Thursday, I mean, that would be another option if people needed to have a little more flexibility. Again, if that meeting were starting at 6, I would guess that we would be done in ample time for me to be able to get off to what I need to get to.
So you're proposing Monday, October 24th?
Yeah, so I'm thinking maybe move the 25th to the 24th since the 27th doesn't seem available, and I don't know how sensitive people are on Wednesdays. I think some staff members may be unavailable on a Wednesday. So maybe move the 25th to the 24th, maybe move the 31st to the 1st, and leave the other two as is, I guess.
Okay. Alderman Whistle is,
Yes.
okay, and now we're going to Alderman Varsho.
Okay, the 24th and the 1st would work for me.
Okay. And Alderman Fisher.
Alderman Varsho stole my thunder. I was going to say the exact same thing, but maybe we're coming to a
And Alderman Wagner.
Yes, I have no life, whatever workers you have there. No, the first is excellent, and generally speaking, Thursday nights are wide open. So I have no objection to those.
And Alderman Spiros.
I can also make the 24th and the 1st.
So it looks to us like Monday, the 17th. I'm sorry, once more, again, Alderman Whistle.
So do I need to make a motion that we move the meeting from the 25th to the 24th, starting at, say, 6 o'clock? Or maybe even at 5:30, since that's a typical committee meeting? And then move the 31st meeting to the 1st, following the finance, budget, and personnel. I guess if that's what I need to do, I will make that motion. We will move the 25th meeting to the 24th at 5:30, and we will move the 31st meeting to the 1st following finance, budget, personnel.
And motion by Alderman Spiro, second by Alderman Fisher. Are there any other discussions? Steve?
I'll just note that I am not available on Tuesday, November 1st, but that doesn't mean that meeting can't go on. I'm sure I can work with staff. That'll be the third meeting, so probably be into follow-up world with some of the questions that you guys have, that need to be addressed, and I can work with staff in doing that. I will say one more thing. The reason why we kind of go with Mondays and Tuesdays, going back to Councilmember Witzel's question, it's nice to try and have spacing to where there's the better part of a week in between in case there's follow-up work that needs to be done, more information. That's why we try and target those same days of the week. But the schedule you're mapped out to vote on right now, the 17th, 24th, 1st, and then leaving the one, if necessary, on November 7th, should work.
Any other discussion? Motion, yes?
Can I just ask Mr. Witzel to repeat the times?
24th would be 5:30. First would be following finance, budget, personnel.
20.
And then that means, I guess, by default, that the common council meeting that was pushed back till 7 o'clock on the 25th, go back to normal 6 o'clock time.
Right, correct. Good observation. We'll move the 25th back to the regular start time of 6 if you pass this motion.
So we have a motion by Alderman Spiros, second by Alderman Fisher. Any other discussion? Seeing none, please vote for Monday, October 17th, which will not change. Monday, October 24th at 5:30. Tuesday, November 1st, following the budget meeting. And if we need another meeting, Monday, November 7th. All ayes, thank you. And item R, we will adjourn to closed session pursuant to Wisconsin Statutes, Chapter 19.851E, deliberating or negotiating the purchasing of public properties, the investing of public funds, or conducting other specified public business whenever competitive or bargaining reasons require a closed session. Probable sale of city-owned property, former railroad corridor, possible sale of the city-owned property located at Tift, District Number 13. Motion by Alderman O'Reilly. Second by Alderman Spiros. Please vote to go into closed session. All ayes, thank you. Okay, item T, action on matters discussed in closed session, if appropriate, and they are. We're accepting the offer from Vernberg to purchase the former railroad corridor in block 234 of McGee Estate subdivision, parcel 3301745A, and direct staff to work with city attorney to complete the sale. And we have a motion by Alderman Spiros, a second by Alderman Varsho. Any other discussion? Seeing none, please vote. All in favor, thank you. Item U, any suggested items for further agendas, for future agendas, excuse me. Alderman Fisher?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I had talked with Steve and the mayor about this. I would like to, at the next meeting in 2 weeks, have a discussion and possibly review the City Hall org chart with some of the departures from staff. Would just like to review that. Thank you.
Alderman O'Reilly.
I would like to request on the next meeting we get on the agenda, something reviewing where we're at with the policy on the weapons remove sign. That was July 12th, July 9th. It was pulled out of consent agenda. So it's been 2 months. And if there's any kind of a rough draft that we can discuss.
Yeah, that is intended for the February, where am I going? The October 17th meeting of the Finance, Budget, and Personnel Committee. I think I've seen emails back and forth between the city attorney and Sarah Dressel.
Yes, Alderman Tompkins.
Thank you. I just would like to know when we are having another EMS meeting, and then about the EMS problem, and then when are we discussing the audit committee?
I think we agreed to put the audit committee on the next Finance, Budget, and Personnel agenda. The other one I'll defer to Councilmember Wagner.
That I've been trying to arrange a time to be able to meet with our finance director. And I finally talked to her, and we're going to be meeting tomorrow to talk about I gave them a presentation to proof, and I think by now it should be proof.
Alderman Fisher?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Did I hear you, Steve, say you're taking the audit committee to the Finance, Budget, and Personnel Committee?
Well, there was a request at the last Finance, Budget, and Personnel Committee meeting to put that on for discussion, correct?
Yeah, right.
The only reason I bring that up, if I may, is I thought we had discussed bringing that back to the council at that meeting.
Actually, I want the ordinance, I want the permission to draft the ordinance, bring that back to the Finance, Budget, Personnel, and then through that, go back to the council. I think that's the proper steps.
Anything else? We have a motion to adjourn. A motion by Alderman Spiros, second by Alderman Witzel. Please vote. We are adjourned.